Hello and welcome to this procurement management knowledge area discussion. What is procurement management? Procurement management includes processes to purchase or acquire services or products from outside the project team. You might procure things internally from your company, or you might want to procure things external to your company from people who are external to your organization. That's fine, right? So remember this, that procurement happens even within your organization. Probably you'll procure resources from HR department. Probably you'll procure laptops and other IT related stuff from your IT department, right? So you might procure internally within your organization also, which is external to your project. So anything that you procure can be outside your project. When I say outside your project, it can be within your organization or external to your organization. And the procurement management also includes the contract management. You need to sign an agreement, which covers both from the buyer perspective, person who is buying and person who is selling. Most often your project team would be buyer. You're buying some resources. You're buying some services or products from outside sources who are called as sellers because they are selling some goods or products or services to you. Once you purchase, you need to get into an agreement, which is nothing but a contract. And the contract is a mutually binding legal document between both buyer and seller. Contract should always be mutually win-win. It should be looking into both the perspectives of the buyer and the seller. It should not be biased, or it should not be weighing heavily on one of the parties. Right? You should not write a contract which gives extraordinary benefits to the buyer or only to the seller. It should not be biased basically. And there are various names to these contracts, right? We will discuss that also. And here are the four processes which we'll be discussing as part of procurement management. First thing is planned procurement management. As part of this, you will get procurement management plan. This procurement management plan will contain details on how to conduct procurements, how to control procurements, and how to close procurements. Planned procurement management is part of project planning process group. Conduct procurements is part of project executing process group. Control procurements is part of project monitoring and controlling process group. And then you have closing process group, which is part of project closing. More or less, the various processes are spread across the life cycle or spread across the various process groups. Unlike the other processes which have most of the processes falling in a specific process group, right? This is not like that. It covers more or less the entire spectrum of the project. Let us look into the first process, which is planned procurement management. Planned procurements involves determining which products or services can be performed internally and which ones should be purchased from outside. It also involves identifying potential sellers, right? What do you want to purchase? What do you want to purchase? When do you want to purchase? How do you want to purchase? How much do you want to purchase? Do you want to make it in-house or do you want to buy from outside? Making in-house is do it yourself. Buying is purchase from outside. So all these questions would be addressed using your procurement management plan. Now let us look into various inputs, outputs, tools and techniques. First input is project management plan. Even before we get into the details of this, understand that any management plan will contain this information only. It will contain information on how to perform plan procurement management. What tools and techniques should I use? Along with this, it also has some other information, some other details. What are those? We know that scope baseline is part of project management plan. Now let me ask you this question. What are the two key components of project management plan? Can someone tell me? What are the key components of project management plan? Yeah. What are the
Subsidiary plans
subsidiary
and
plans and
cost. Sorry, there's three baselines.
three baseline documents? Absolutely right. Also, your project life cycle would be part of this. What life cycle are you following, right? That's the third component basically. Okay. Within these three, what are the three baseline documents? Scope baseline, cost baseline, and schedule baseline documents,
Cost
right?
and
Yeah. What are the three components of scope baseline document?
uh, WBS dictionary and
VAW.
And
scope management.
yeah, you
Uh,
told WBS and WBS dictionary. What is the other document?
Create W.
Create
no,
WBS is
Scope
the
state. Yeah, scope
yeah,
statement. Sorry, that is
absolutely.
scope
scope
statement.
statement.
Scope statement.
And the scope statement, which is part of your scope baseline, is always approved. So it is approved project scope statement. Baseline itself means it is approved, right? So the documents within that also would be approved basically. So approved project scope statement is other component of scope baseline document. All right. So there would be various components within your approved project scope statement also. Can you tell me, can you name a few?
Project description, assumptions, exclusions.
Okay. So you're telling product scope description. Yes, product scope description would be there. Yes. Then the second thing is assumptions, constraints. Okay. List
Exclusions
exclusions, which is out of scope. Yes.
in scope.
In scope, obviously. Yes. Acceptance criteria would be there.
Yeah.
Right. And also the list of deliverables that you want. All these things are going to give you some information about what you want to procure. List of deliverables, what you want to accomplish, right? And also it's going to tell you about what are the delivery dates, what are the available skill resources and all that. WBS is also going to give you information about the work packages. And if you want additional information about those work packages, it would be part of WBS dictionary. So those are few things which are of relevance to us in plan procurement management. Then we have requirements documentation. Important information about project requirements, which you will have to consider while planning for your procurement management, is part of requirements documentation. You will have all the requirements along with your contractual requirements. It also contains the legal requirements. It might be related to the health, It might be related to security. It might be related to your intellectual property rights, your licenses, and all that. Then we have risk register. Risk register would contain all the risks pertaining to the project, but those risks which are going to impact your procurement management process are important to us here. Probably there is a vendor who would not provide you the goods on time. That is a risk. Based on the history, a supplier slipped the schedule twice. That is a risk now, right? So that kind of information is relevant to you here. Activity resource requirements. I'll get to know specific information, specific needs for each and every activity. What equipment do I require? At what location do I require? What people do I require? At each activity level, you'll get the resource requirements. Then we have project schedule. Project schedule contains information on the timelines and the deliverable dates, right? At a bare minimum, project schedule contains the start and end date of each and every activity. And then we have activity cost estimates. If suppose people give me a budget of say $100,000 to purchase maybe 20 laptops, $100,000 for 20 laptops. Probably I'll go for Mac laptops, or I'll go with high-end laptops, digitizer enabled laptops maybe, right? i7 4th generation, 16 GB RAM, so on and so forth, solid state drive and all that. But if people give me only $5,000 for 20 laptops, probably I'll settle for a low-end laptop, right, for my resources. So the activity cost, the cost that is assigned to the activity is driving me on what I have to procure, right? What quality should I bank on? That is of relevance to us here. Then we have stakeholder register. We highlight that. Stakeholder register provides details on the project participants, right? It contains details on the various stakeholders and what are their interests in the project. EEF is enterprise environmental factors. We'll not discuss at length this, but what is EEF? Anything on which you do not have a direct control on. When I say you, your project. Anything on which your project does not have a direct control on, which might impact your project in a positive or a negative way, is classified as EEF. Now these things, EEF, can be external to your organization or they can also be internal to your organization. Can be within your team also, but you do not have a direct control on those things, right? And one more thing is project management information systems. Also, configuration management would be part of this. What is configuration management? We know about project management information systems, right? How to collect the information, where to store it, and how to distribute the information, right? It has to happen in a controlled fashion using configuration management. Configuration management looks into the versioning of the documents. If I'm making small changes, probably I'll change the version to 1.1. If I make another small change, 1.2, I would change it in increments of 0.1 if there are small changes. If there is a huge change, a big change, then I'll change the version from 1 to 2. And again, if there's a small change, I'll keep making the changes. I'll have to ensure that the version history is maintained. What am I changing? Right version is available. I'll have to ensure that. I'll also have to ensure that Appropriate stakeholders are given access. I cannot give everyone read and write access to all the documents. Probably a project manager of a team would have complete access to a document. A junior resource might have only read access. I don't want a junior resource to accidentally make changes. Senior most resource might get write access, but he cannot delete the document. All right. So these kind of things are part of your configuration management. You'll perform configuration audits also periodically to check whether right versions of the documents are accessed. How are you ensuring the version history, revision history is maintained? Right? How are you ensuring that right people have right access? If a person leaves your organization, his access should be removed. If a new person joins, he should get automatically access to that. That is all about configuration management, which is also part of your EEF. And while you do your collection, storing the data and distributing the data, you also ensure configuration management is followed. Okay, OPA. If someone asks me to come up with project management plan document, I would go to OPA. I would look into the previous templates. I will look into the templates and then I'll start filling those templates because the sections within these templates would be relevant to my organization. While doing this, I might want to refer to the previous project's procurement management plan. When I say previous projects, you always have to look into previous similar kind of projects. First, focus on similar kind of projects because their procurement management plan would be relevant to your project, right? Don't pick up something which is absurd, very weird, out of context. Doesn't make sense. Suppose you want a procurement management for a financial client, don't go and pick up something from say life sciences healthcare. It would be completely different, right? So that is how you building a hospital versus setting up a new bank. It's completely different. It makes sense for me if I pick previous similar kind of projects procurement management plan and start looking into how they have failed. I want to look into what are the bad things that they have done. I do not want to repeat those lessons learned. I want to look into the best practices and I want to repeat those. Don't repeat lessons learned, bad practices. I want to repeat the best practices. Historical information, knowledge base. Once procurement management plan is prepared, I want to get it approved by someone. Or probably I can take the ownership of approving the document and finalizing it. What should I do? Should I send it to someone for approval or can I approve it on my own? This would be defined in your organization policies or procedures or guidelines. Look into those and get the job done. All right. Then we have make or buy analysis. Even before that, I want to explain about contract types. But okay, first let us look into contract types. You'll have a lot of questions from the contract types, which is part of your OPA itself. Here are the three broad contract types. You'll get a lot of questions from this, lot of questions in exam. Okay. First thing is fixed price. When you get into a fixed price contract type, buyer will have 0% risk and the seller is going to have 100% risk. Yeah. Why is that so? Suppose I say that I want 100 cement bags, right? And I will pay you 100 rupees per cement bag, or I'll pay you $10 per cement bag. I want 100 cement bags, $10 per cement bag. I finalize this. I get into an agreement with you. and you start supplying me the cement bags. After you supplied 50 cement bags, price of the cement bags hiked, and now it is $12 per cement bag. Who is going to pay this additional $2? We got into a deal with $10. I'll pay $10 per cement bag. That was the deal. But now it increased by $2. Now it's $12 per cement bag. Who will pay for these $2? It is you as a seller. So in this case, you're negatively impacted. You have a negative risk. You'll have to shed some amount from your pocket. Think about another situation. We got into an agreement with $10 per cement bag, but now it reduced to $8 per cement bag. Hey, you're saving, right? As a seller, you're saving $2. Who will take that profit? You as a seller. This is a positive risk. I have no say now as a buyer. I've already told I'm going to pay you $10 per cement bag, and I want 100 cement bags. That's it. That's the deal. That is called as fixed price contract type. But there are a few variants to this. There is something called as firm fixed price. Firm fixed price. I'm firm on this. I say I'll pay you $10 per cement bag. That's it. I'm firm. I'll not pay you anything additional. But if I want to lure the seller and ensure that he delivers me with higher quality on time and all that, I introduce a variant. I say fixed price plus incentive fee. I tell to the seller that if you deliver me the cement bags on time with the desired quality, then I'll pay you 10% as incentive of the total cost. Suppose I am ordering 100 cement bags and I tell that for each cement bag I'm going to pay you $10. The total cost is going to be $1,000. If you deliver me all the 100 cement bags on time with the desired quality, I'm going to pay 10% of this $1,000 as an incentive to you. That is how you try to lure them, right? You try to get the maximum out of your seller. Okay. There is another variant called as fixed price with economic price adjustment. We know that marketplace condition you do not have any control on. There's a lot of inflation going on. Currency might fluctuate drastically. If it fluctuates drastically, then you want to get into a, or you want to further negotiate the contract type. Last time when I went to Russia, I think 1 ruble was worth 1.5 rupees, Indian rupees. Right? And now 1 ruble is 0.9 rupees because of the war in Ukraine, because of the Western sanctions on Russia, and because of basically oil price fall and all that. Russians are, they have majority of their business into oil drilling and all that, right? So all those reasons have contributed to reduction in this currency. The currency fell drastically. I'm not sure about the current condition. It has improved a little, I believe. But yeah, the point that I'm making is that if there is such a huge variation in the currency, and I've seen this happen in the span of 3 months, then your seller would be drastically impacted. When I say impacted, positively or negatively. And you come up with this kind of a contract type which says that if the change in the currency is greater than 10%, we are going to renegotiate the deal. We are going to get into another negotiation of the contract type. And that is called as fixed price with economic price adjustment. And the next thing is cost reimbursable contract type. In this cost reimbursable contract type, it is exactly opposite to fixed price, by the way. In this, buyer has 100% risk and the seller has 0% risk. Think about the same example. I want 100 cement bags to be delivered. That is what I asked the seller. He goes, purchases 100 cement bags from the market, and while he purchases it, the cost was $12, right? He will give you 100 cement bags multiplied by $12 per cement bag. He is going to give you a bill of $1,200, and you will have to pay entire $1,200. If suppose the price of the cement bag was $15, he's going to give you a bill for $1,500 and you'll have to pay the entire $1,500. How are you impacted? Negatively, because as the cost increases, you will have to pay that. Seller will just give you a bill worth so many dollars. Suppose instead of 15, each cement bag cost reduced to $8. Hey, you'll be positively impacted because you'll have to pay less. Seller is going to give you a bill worth $800. You're ending up paying a little low than what you have initially planned for. So buyer has maximum risk here. But let me tell you this. If each cement bag worth is $15 and if I give you a bill of $1,500 and if you pay me exactly $1,500, then what am I gaining as a seller? I'm selling you cement bags. The market cost is $15 and you pay me $1,500. Fine. But what am I getting as a seller? Right? You will have to pay for my service. I'm delivering you these 100 cement bags. I'm hiring a trolley. I'm hiring laborers who are delivering you the cement bags. Who is going to pay for that? Hence, we have some variance around that. Cost plus fixed fee. You will say that deliver me 100 cement bags and then I'll pay you $200 as fixed price for your service. You as a buyer, tell to the seller that deliver me the 100 cement bags and then I'll pay you $200 as fixed fee for your service. That is called as cost plus fixed fee. All right, that is one type of variant. Okay.
Only one question here, probably I did not understood the cost reimbursement.
Yeah.
You mean to say the agreement is reached in terms of the amount initially saying like I would give $1,500 and you have to give me the equal number of, I mean, the quantity equal to $1,500?
No,
How is that?
no, I just say that I want 100 cement bags. That's it. Cost is not arrived at yet. On that particular day, at that moment, whatever is the cost, based on that, I'll get a number. This amount I have to pay as a buyer to the seller. As for 100 cement bags, probably I'll ask you to deliver it in the month of November. So in the month of November, you deliver me 100 cement bags. Whatever is the cost of each cement bag in the month of November, that amount I would be paying to you. Today, the cost of the cement bag might be 100 or 10 rupees per cement bag, right? In the month of November, it might increase or it might decrease. If it is going to increase, it's a negative impact for me, negative risk. If it is going to decrease in the month of November, then it's going to positively impact me, right? So this cost is not arrived at, the quantity is arrived at.
So this mostly applies in future dated transactions kind, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Since projects are expected to last for a while, right? Maybe 1 year project, or maybe 6 months project, or 3 months project, right? So in that span of 3 months, you might not want to purchase everything at one go. You might purchase it in, what do you call, quantities. Okay. Same thing. Think about the house construction. In the month of Jan, your project started. House construction in the month of December, it's going to end. And you want to purchase paint probably in the month of November and December. That is when you'll be doing painting process, right? If you want to purchase your flooring components, probably you'll purchase them in the month of October, right? Or September, October timeframe. You want to purchase here. But the quantity you will upfront say to your seller that in the month of Jan itself, you'll say that, hey, I want, say, 100 floor tiles or 1,000 floor tiles in the month of September, October. Probably these 100 or 1,000 tiles is worth $2 per tile as of Jan. In the month of September or October, you do not know. This cost might increase, right? So if you're willing to pay for the increased cost or the decreased cost, whatever cost it is at the time of purchase, then it is called as cost reimbursable. When is it called as fixed price? In the month of Jan, it is $2. You fix at $2. You say, hey, deliver me 1,000 tiles in the month of September, October time frame. All right. No matter what the cost is of each tile in the month of September or October, I'll still pay you $2. That's it. And that is fixed price. Okay. I hope you understood. All right. Now let us look into the other variants. So cost plus fixed fee means I'll pay you the cost which you have incurred as a seller, and also I'm going to pay you some additional cost for your service that you provide me. Maybe $200 or maybe $100, right? Cost plus incentive fee. I would say that, hey, if you meet the quality requirements of the tiles or of the cement bags, or if you deliver me on time as promised, if I say 100 cement bags, you deliver me 100 cement bags, not 90 or not 80. If I say I want of 53 grade cement or whatever be the quality, and if you deliver me exactly those, and nothing is torn, there is nothing, no cement bag torn, no loss of cement bags, etc. If you meet all these things, I'll pay you some incentive fee. Probably I'll pay 10% of the entire cost, or 20% or 30%. This is the way I try to lure the seller and ensure that I get right products. All right. Last thing is cost plus award fee. And in cost plus award fee, it's similar to incentive fee only, but most of the fee which is earned by the seller is subjective in nature. I would say that, hey, only if I'm satisfied, I'm going to pay you this award fee. How much am I going to pay? I don't know. I might pay you 10% or 20% or 30%. And if the seller asks you, how would you be satisfied and when would you be satisfied? Do you have a defined criteria? You would say, no, I do not know at this point of time. On how to measure your performance. Should I measure your performance on quality? Should I measure your performance on cost? Should I measure your performance on timeliness? I really don't know. Probably this is the first time I'm getting goods from you. Probably this is the first time I'm purchasing goods of this type. If it's one of the kind, first time you do not actually know how to measure the performance, that is when you get into cost plus award fee. Now in cost plus incentive fee, if you're telling that you'll pay 10% of the cost as incentive, provided he meets some criteria, and if you do not provide that, if you say that I'll pay you 10% as incentive if you deliver me all 100 cement bags on time, if that is the agreement you got into, then you cannot shy away from this 10% and say, hey, I promised 10%, but I'll pay you 8%. You cannot say this in cost plus incentive fee. But in cost plus award fee, you might say that, you know what, I'll try to pay you 10% based on quality, but I'm not sure whether quality is the main factor or not to measure your performance. After the entire thing, I might pay you only 8%. I might say you that, hey, do you know what? Quality is not the right parameter, right? Maybe timeliness is the right parameter based on which I need to measure your performance. So instead of 10%, I'll pay you 8%. Fine. Now your seller cannot go and sue you and say that, hey, initially it was 10%, so you have to pay me 10%. Nothing doing. Cannot do that because most of the award fee which is given to the customer is based on the satisfaction, and it is based on subjective performance, right? It's extremely subjective, it's not objective. Hence, you get into this kind of a contract type when you as a buyer and the seller do not actually know how to measure each other's performance. You do not know as a buyer on how to measure seller's performance, right? And it's one of a kind that you're dealing with. Under such circumstances, you get into this contract type, cost plus award fee. And the last thing is time and material, which is a hybrid type of contractual agreement, which includes both fixed price and cost reimbursable. You will say that I want 100 cement bags and I'll pay you $10 per cement bag, fixed. All right. But for the daily laborers who are working on the house construction, I will pay you for the number of hours that they work. I'm not fixing that. I'm not saying upfront that I'll pay you $10,000 for the labors. No, I'm saying let me know how many hours each labor is working, and for each hour I'm going to pay you a specified amount. Maybe for each hour I'll pay you $50, and this is cost reimbursable. How many ever hours laborers work? Give me the details of the bill, and I'm going to pay you for that. Right? So it's a combination of fixed price and cost reimbursable. That is time and material. I'll stop here. Let me know if you have any doubts. No doubts? Are you guys with me?
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
Yeah, all right. So this is the most important part, by the way. Okay. Let us discuss about the tools and techniques now. Make or buy analysis. If I want to procure something, do I want to procure it or make that in-house within my organization or within my project? Or do I want to purchase it from outside? When I say outside, it is outside to your project team. Outside your project team can be within your organization, or also it can be external. I can purchase from or procure from the other departments, or I can procure it from outside sources. Make or buy analysis. Think about lease option also while you do make or buy analysis, right? It's not just make or buy. Probably sometimes you want to lease out Think about excavation. You're digging a foundation for your home, for your house construction, and then you need an excavator. You cannot make it in-house because you're not into that business at all, and it'll be extremely costly. You do not want to buy it from outside and keep it with you because this is the only house that you'll be constructing, right? So what do? You end up leasing it, renting it out for the desired duration. So you need to look into that option as well while you want to procure things. Expert judgment. You need not be an expert in each and every domain, in each and every industry, in each and every sector. That is going to be extremely difficult. But PMI says make use of subject matter expertise to get your job done. And you might also want to do some amount of market research to identify who is the best person from whom I can procure things. What are the vendor capabilities and all that? Did you guys hear about Gartner's Magic Quadrant? Gartner's Magic Quadrant? Did you guys hear that? Or let me show you. Let me show you that quickly. Gartner's Magic Quadrant. If suppose a client sitting in US or UK wants to outsource a piece of work to Gartner, and suppose it is ERP related. Let me open something which comes up. Let me open the first one. Not sure whether this is visible to you guys or not, but let me click on this. Am I running out of battery? Oh, okay. So look at this Magic Quadrant. I need to zoom in a little. Let me do that for you guys. So this is the Gartner's Magic Quadrant, basically, right? So what is this related to? Excuse me for that. This says that if I want to outsource work related to ERP package, then, or if I want to purchase an ERP package, probably SAP would be the best bet for me. If I'm a well set up organization, Fortune 100 companies probably will prefer this because it is high in ability to execute and high in completeness of vision. Let's see what this is. Semantic McAfee, I believe this is related to your virus protection. What antivirus software are you going to have on your machines for your organization? Right. Probably if I'm Fortune 100 companies, I would go with Semantic maybe because it is complete in vision and it has high ability to execute, followed by McAfee. If I'm a startup who wants to purchase a good security software, maybe I'll go to the niche players. They are just emerging, so the cost might be a little less. I'll go with probably Total Defense or probably Panda Security. Not sure what this is all about. I'm not completely techie guy, so all right. So this is Gartner's Magic Quadrant. It will tell you on whom you want to outsource, basically. Yeah, here there's business intelligence and analytics platform. This might be relevant. All right. If I want some analytics to be done on my project, I look into this Gartner's Magic Quadrant. I'll pick up one which best suits me. If I have a lot of amount with me for data visualization, probably I'll go with Tableau or ClickView. Or am I good with some Microsoft product, right? But if I'm a fairly naive customer who is new into the market, I do not have so much amount to purchase Tableau licenses, probably I'll go with Infor or Pyramid Analytics. Right? If I want some prediction models to be built, probably SAS or IBM would be the best bet. IBM SPSS. Where is R? I want to see R here, right? R is here. R is by far the best known statistical tool. Anyways, that is all out of scope. So this is how you look into the market research and pick up one vendor which best meets your requirements. Just give me a minute. I'll number of other market research. You have Forrester, you have Kennedy, you have various other things. You can look into all those sources for market research. Based on your industry, you can pick up one market research and go ahead, do the research and see who would be the best supplier or vendor for you. Meetings are the normal meetings which you perform, but just bear in mind that do not have your meetings in silos. Include probably your procurement department. They might add more value probably to your meetings. And the key output would be procurement management plan. And we know that procurement management plan is also a subsidiary plan which would end up to be part of your project management plan. What is the type of contract you have chosen? What are the various risk management issues? How do you want to manage multiple suppliers if you have multiple suppliers? Right? And how are you going to handle the make or buy decisions? All these things would be part of your procurement management plan. Identifying pre-qualified sellers. If tomorrow ExcelR wants to take some corporate training, they have to be registered as pre-qualified sellers. They have to be registered as vendors. And only then, chances are high that you might get a call. So anyways, that is how it works. Then procurement statement of work. What are the various components of statement of work? Not procurement statement of work, normal statement of work. It contains narrative description of services or products that you want, right? Out of those, what do you want to procure? Would be part of procurement statement of work. Out of these narrative description of products and services which you have in statement of work, what are those which you want to procure? That is procurement statement of work. Then you have procurement documents. Here are few of the names of the procurement documents. You'll have something called as RFP, request for proposal. You'll have RFB, request for bid. You'll have RFI, request for information. You'll have IFB, invitation for bid. You'll have RFQ, request for quotation. You'll have tender notice. Yeah, invitation for negotiation, so on and so forth. Let me ask you this question. What could the possible difference be between request for proposal and all the other documents? I'm sure you guys might have worked on proposals and all that, right? But tell me, what is the difference between request for proposal and all other documents? There's one key difference. Do you know what the difference is? Let me tell you. Your request for proposal primarily focuses on cost and all the other components. For example, what is the financial stability of the organization? If I'm giving an organization worth $1 million project, they should not go bankrupt. They should not say, I do not have the resources to deliver you the project. So what is the financial stability of that organization? If it's public limited, then how is their share market? How are they performing on the share market? What are their quarterly results? How many projects did they perform in the past? Right? They look into all the other components, other aspects along with the cost in request for proposal. But all these other documents are majorly cost driven. Lower the cost, better it is for me. That's it. That would be the major driving factor. But if it is request for proposal, they look into all the other aspects of the organization. How many people are PMP certified? How many people are Agile certified? How many people are Six Sigma consultants who are certified? Right? They look into all those things when it comes to request for proposal. Financial stability of the organization would also be key factor. So there'll be all factors which are equally weighed along with the cost. But when it comes to request for bid, request for invitation, request for quotation, invitation for bid or tender notice, so on and so forth, they look into cost, which is the major driving factor. And that is a difference. So those are your procurement documents. Source selection criteria. How are you going to select the source? Right? What is their technical ability? What is the risk that you possess if you go with that particular vendor? What is the warranty that they are providing? What is their business size and what are the types of business they are into? How many IPs they have, intellectual property? This is extremely important. And in Infosys, most of the account quality managers had this goal that they have to come up with some IP, intellectual property, and that goes to US for patent. And once it is patented against Infosys, then in the next proposal you'll claim that do you know what, I have so many intellectual properties with me. That is also a criteria, by the way. Proprietary rights if you're selling some products, so all that play a key role. You're doing a make or buy analysis, so you will decide on what you have to make in-house, what you have to make or buy from outside sources, or what you want to lease out. And then change requests. If you want to procure anything, you will have to raise a purchase order or procurement. You'll have to raise some invoice to the procurement team, right? I want 10 laptops. Do you just like that purchase? There has to be some PO number, right? Some purchase order. So anything that you want to purchase, any good or any service or any resource, it has to ideally trigger off a change request. It will be happening in the background, right? If you say that I want 10 laptops for my team, or if you say that I want 5 software licenses for my team, it should be procured from somewhere. And that procurement process includes this change request as well. And few of the project documents get updated. That includes requirements documentation. Probably you identified a new requirement as part of this, and you want to update your requirements document. Once your requirements document is updated with a new requirement, your requirements traceability matrix also will get updated. And if you see new risks, then your risk register might be updated. So these are few project documents which might get updated. All right, the next thing is conduct procurements. You have procurement management plan, which will tell you on how to conduct the procurement. Procurement documents, your RFP, RFB, they provide you a means for audit trial. If you want to conduct some audits, if you want to check on what are the goods or services which you want, then procurement document will serve that. Your RFP, RFB, invitation for bid, SOW and all that. So selection criteria, how are you going to select? Based on their capabilities, based on their capacity, when they are going to deliver you and all that. Do they really have the technical expertise or not? And then seller proposals. In response to what you want, seller is going to, give his proposal. He'll say that, hey, for 10 laptops, I'm going to charge you so much. Or for 100 cement bags, I'm going to charge you $10 per cement bag. Things like that. Right? That is seller proposal, which you get from the seller. And project documents. Risk related documents, your risk register, your issue log, all those also will make sense here. Make or buy decisions. Did you plan to make within your project, or did you plan to buy from outside sources? That decision is also important, because only if you want to buy from outside sources, probably you'll end up conducting the procurement and selecting a vendor. Then you have procurement statement of work, which will tell you what we want to procure. It will also explain about what quantity you want, what is the quality that you want, at what location do you want me to send you that particular product. That is procurement statement of work. And then you have OPA, the list of already qualified sellers, which seller is good, which seller is bad, based on some past experience, right? And what were the prior agreements, contract documents, all those would make sense to you as part of OPA. All right. Suppose you have asked TCS, you have asked Wipro, you have asked Infosys, all three of them responded to your particular bid, right? And a number of other companies, HCL and all that. But you have shortlisted only three, TCS, Wipro, and Infosys, based on proposal evaluation techniques. Right? What are proposal evaluation techniques? A weighted technique, right? You weigh against the financial stability of the organization, past experience, how many projects did they perform successfully in the past, how many resources do they have, who are certified, things like that. You're going to weigh and then quickly select top 3 or 4 companies from the list of 10, 20. Proposal evaluation technique, weighted technique is what they call. You weigh against various parameters and then pick up the top companies. There is also something called a screening technique. Screening. You quickly want to screen. So it's a quick, dirty way of shortlisting from a huge list of vendors. What you say is, probably you'll say, hey, I want only CMMI level 5 certified or accredited organizations, CMMI level 5 accredited organizations. Now, all the organizations which say that they are CMMI level 3 or they do not have any CMMI, those organizations can be quickly filtered out, and you'll pick up those which are CMMI level 5 accredited. So that's called a screening technique. Say you have done all these and you have selected the top 3 organizations which happen to be your TCS, Wipro, and Infosys. Just assume in that way for now. What you do is you call them to a conference, to a meeting, bidder conference. Bidder conference is sometimes called as contractor conference, vendor conference, or pre-bid conference. There are different names. That's okay. You call everyone to a single room and then you start discussing. And if, say, a person or representative from TCS has a doubt, has a question, I'm going to clarify that doubt or question, and Wipro, Infosys, and HCL will also be able to hear the answer which I provide. And if Infosys has a question, I'm going to answer to that. I'm going to clarify their doubts, and the other vendors will be able to hear. So it is conducted in a fair way. Fairness is ensured when you conduct this bidder conference, and you'll ensure that everyone is on the same page. All right. Now, there is another thing called as independent estimates. What you do is you approach an independent body, which might be internal to your organization or external, right? You go to an independent body and you say, hey, I want SAP ERP system to be implemented in my organization. I want to know how much would it cost approximately. And this person would say your organization is a big organization, probably it will cost you $2 million. Okay, now you get the benchmark, ballpark figure. This person has nothing to do with who wins the bid. And say TCS comes up with a number of $1.8 million. Wipro says it would be $2.1 million. And Infosys says it's going to cost you $4 million. It'll be extremely easy for you to quickly strike off Infosys from your list because they are way above your independent estimates. Now you consider Wipro and TCS and you want to look into quality parameters, other parameters, and pick up one. Probably I'll go with TCS if price is the major driving factor for me. All right. And the next thing is expert judgment. We'll not discuss this. Just making use of subject matter expertise to get your or to finalize your supplier or vendor. Advertising. You can advertise in the leading newspapers, you can advertise in the magazines, you can advertise on various websites, etc. Have you ever looked into government projects here in India? Right? They would release a tender notice in all the leading newspapers. That is the norm. They have to do that. That's a means of advertising. And ExcelR Solutions does a lot of consulting work as well. So we advertise it separately in various other forums, which is looked into by various organizations before they plan to outsource. So you have various online forums as well where you want to advertise. And then we have analytical techniques. Remember one thing when it comes to analytical techniques. Analytical techniques means nothing but I'm evaluating multiple options and I want to pick up one option which best suits me. I want to pick up a vendor who is going to meet my expectations, right? Who is going to ensure that they deliver me the goods within the cost expected, who are going to avoid the cost overruns. So this is analytical techniques. Then comes procurement negotiations. Think about your market. When you go to market to purchase vegetables, what do? You negotiate, right? You negotiate on the cost, right? And if you purchase 1 kg of say tomato, and then you add another tomato, negotiating, that is exactly what happens, right? People are going to negotiate on the cost. They're going to say that for the same cost, can you do me 2 more additional requirements? All this is negotiation basically. All right. Using these tools and techniques, using these inputs, you come up with outputs. And you have conducted procurement. You have just conducted procurement. You have evaluated multiple vendors and you have selected a vendor. Hence, selected sellers would be the output. Once you select a seller, you obviously need to get into an agreement or a contract with him. And then resource calendar would tell you on what resources would be required at what point of time, basically, right? Quantity also. How many resources I require? When do I require them? And what should the quality of that resource be and all that. Change requests. If you want to change a vendor, if you want to add additional vendors to your existing pool, then you will have to raise a change request. If there is a change request, obviously your project management plan might get updated. Initially, you thought it's going to cost you only $1 million. Now you know that it is going to cost you $1.2 million. Your cost baseline will get increased. Initially, you thought it will take only 1 month to complete your project. Now you feel that based on this procurement cycle, probably my project will get extended by 1.5 months. Schedule baseline document gets updated. You end up also updating few of your project documents. your risk log, issue log, and things like that. All right. Control procurements is part of monitoring and controlling process group. What do you do in any monitoring and controlling process group? You do planned versus actuals. Planned information would always be available in your project management plan. Actual information would be available in your work performance data. If I have work performance data as input, output would be work performance information. If my actual is not according to my plan, I would raise a change request. This change request will go through my perform integrated change control process. Question to you guys. Which knowledge area has this process called perform integrated change control?
Integration.
Integration management, absolutely right. Within this, you'll have the change control board and few of the change control tools, which will help you either approve the change or reject the change. If a change is approved, your project management plan and project documents will get updated. If it's rejected, your probably change log will get updated with information on which change got rejected. So that is a project document. Change log is a project document. All right. If plan versus actual is good, then you classify it as best practice and you're going to update your OPA. If your plan versus actual is bad, you're going to record that as lessons learned and update your OPA accordingly. So in short, this is what you do. Let us look into the other things which we have left out. That one shot all the outputs are finished. Inputs also to a great extent we have covered. Okay. Procurement documents, your RFP or RFB or invitation for bid or tender notice, those are important while you control your procurements. Agreements, the contract that you get into, what are the things which you have agreed is important. You also look into approved change request. If a change request is approved, it has to be implemented. Was it in reality implemented or not? And if it was implemented, did it give you the desired benefits or not? Then comes work performance reports. What is your work? How is it performing? Is your project on time, on budget? Or are you behind schedule, over budget by any means? You need to know that. Hence, you have work performance reports. Then you have contract change control system. There is a bigger change control system in perform integrated change control, and contract change control system would be part of this. Just because there are frequent changes, frequent procurements happening, you have a separate change control system called contract change control system. Then procurement performance reviews. You want to review the performance of your supplier or vendor because you're monitoring and controlling their performance. What do you do when you monitor and control something? You check whether your actuals are according to the plan or not. I would probably end up doing inspections, audits, reviews to check whether my actuals are according to the plan or not. I've ordered 100 cement bags, right? Did he in reality deliver me 100 cement bags? I'm going to do a quick inspection or audit. I've ordered 100 cement bags of a specific quality. Though he has delivered me 100 cement bags, did he deliver of the same quality which we have agreed? You'll come to know while you look into inspections and audits when you do this. Performance reporting. How is my vendor performing? On a weekly basis, he's delivering me on time. Over a period of time, his performance dipped. He's not delivering me on time any longer. Right? So such kind of performance reporting is required. Payment systems. You maintain the payment systems differently because there would be a lot of payments that happens to your vendors on an ongoing basis frequently. Hence, you have a separate payment system. And claims administration. Mind you, whenever you're getting into an agreement with your vendor, there might be a lot of issues. Right? There'll be a lot of claims. People say that you did not understand my initial requirements. I've asked you for X, you have given me Y. Then you'll say that no, let us look into the records. Let us look into the agreement, into the procurement documents and all that. You have actually requested me for Y. And then there'll be a lot of to and fro that will happen, right? And if it is not, if you cannot resolve the dispute, amicably, then what you do is you get into court settlements. Basically, you go to court with the agreement and you say that, hey, this is what I've asked, this person has delivered me a different thing, and he says that this is what he can deliver. So you'll go for a court settlement or off court settlement, basically. All right, so that is all about control procurements. Now let us close the procurements. You have project management plan, which will tell you on how to close the procurements. You have procurement documents, which will contain the list of items which have to be procured. You do a procurement audit to check whether all the list of things that you want to procure is actually procured or not. You might also get into procurement negotiations. You might say, do you know what? I've asked you 100 cement bags. That's fine. You have delivered me everything. Can you also add one more cement bag? Think about your software projects. You have delivered all the requirements on time. Customer would say, hey, can you add these 2 features? Then you'll say that, hey, I'll observe one feature because it does not take much time. There is another feature which will take extremely high effort from our end. So please raise a new change request for this, kind of, right? So that is how you do negotiations also. Records management system. You look into all the records which you have managed diligently throughout, and you'll see whether everything is accomplished or not. And if everything is good, you close the procurements. All your lessons learned, best practices, templates that you have used will get updated in OPA. Specifically in closing process, you update your OPA specifically, but OPA updates happen throughout the project, by the way. It happens in all process groups, but specifically you do it in close procurements. If you have changed the process, approval process, or some process, you update that process also in OPA. All right, here we come to an end. So let me quickly explain about standard deviation, which Mahesh was asking, right? Let us take the same example of cricket ball.